Right? And I'm not playing no games. Yo.
Greetings and salutations, my friends. Wow, I tell you what a crazy day. Got some stuff done. I hadn't heard back about the Loki show, but I said, well, I'm going to do a little stream if you're not doing one. Turns out he's doing one. So yeah, if you're not here, I understand. It's okay. I totally understand. So I don't know what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about all sorts of stuff. I got so many things to kind of get to and whatever. I thought we'll just chit chat. Let's talk about some different things. So yeah, so tell me how you're doing. Tell me what's going on. We'll stick mostly to comic book stuff, comic related stuff, those kinds of things. But the floor is pretty open for the most part. Otherwise, hey, Byfer, how you doing, my friend? Thanks for always supporting me and being here. I appreciate that very, very much. But yeah, it's been a crazy couple of days. Just trying to juggle the work schedule and the shows and being back in the routine and those kinds of things. So. Bear with me. I'm trying to get there he goes. I could not get I have to have my phone set so I can stay in touch with my wife. My wife was going to call me, and then we kind of crossed wires, so we actually haven't talked. So she may be trying to contact me or something like that. So, but I hope you're doing okay. Yeah, let's talk some comic book stuff. So there's tons of stuff going on. Yeah, Loki show's going on right now, which, I hate kind of stepping over them. But once I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I said I was going to do this. So here we go. Yeah, I was going to start with this crazy story that I guess the writer is already trying to rewrite what actually is happening, and that so you don't know, the Superman that is the current Superman is not Clark Kent. The current Superman is John Kent, Clark's son. And they have issue number 15. Well, it's not just 15, but in 15, issue number 15, he is going to basically come out or be, come out more to the whole DC universe. That was right. So issue number 15. So it was kind of really strange that this the headline, this is the story they're going to go with. They have this big announcement. They're going to make a big story about it. And I saw this, and there's the cover. This is your Superman. Kid you not. So this effeminate rainbow, whatever. Right. So this is coming out. It was a September book. This was announced a little while ago, but this is a September book. This is what was announced. And then within a couple of days, I guess it's been 2 or 3 weeks, but it's still not really things. They announced that they're changing. It's going to be canceled. We're stopping at issue 18. So dropped, and then the writer Tom Taylor dropped that. Oh, no, it's not canceled at all. No, it's not canceled. Oh, so the tweet is not canceled. It's being redone as Adventures of Superman John Kent. So it is being canceled. Superman, Son of Kal-El is being canceled. And now it's going to be started as this. But it's really not being canceled. Literally, this is the insanity that they're trying to sell us on. And so this is the tweet that he puts up. Not canceled, blah, blah. And then he screenshots Amazon trying to report facts. And you're and it's here it's showing Superman number 1, Immortal X-Men number 7, whatever. Now, this series has only existed since July of last year. That's it. We're on issue 18. It'll be on issue 18 when it's canceled. And it is canceled. And I cannot replicate this, by the way. This writer that posted this image screenshot of Amazon, I don't know how they pulled up their best of list here like this. I could not replicate that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I couldn't replicate that. So it's not like John Kent is being eliminated from the universe. No one said that. But yeah, so he's it's a real testament. I don't know how this guy talks, so I don't know how to emulate him. It's a real testament to the fantastic response of the fans to John as Superman. This series is going to be one of the most action-packed books I've ever written, and John is going to be tested more than ever. While we can tell you that Superman of Earth 2, Val Zod, and John's nemesis, Ultraman, oh, I just cringe every time I read that, will be key characters in the early part of Adventures of Superman. What we're really going to reveal at the end of issue 2 will have everyone talking, and issue number 3 launches us in a direction no one will come seeing. Well, we'll see coming. Tom Taylor. So there's been a lot of talk, and a couple people have messaged me like to review more with Marvel than I have DC. I said, well, that's because my kids got me the app. I have not switched over. I do not have the app and the access to the DC side of things. So there was some talk about maybe that's the direction that I should go to, is to try to add that in my arsenal of resources so that we can share, we can really dive deeper into things. So, but while I was chatting about the Superman shenanigans and all that, you guys can tell what you guys think. I'm not giving them, it's tricky, right? Because I do want, you give them money with the app, but it's like, I want to give them money with the app because I also want to read like classic stuff. Some stuff I've never even owned. I've never even read some stuff because obviously Golden Age DC dates back to like, the late 30s and 40s. I haven't owned some of that stuff. Never read it. Anyway, Princess Leia Rose is here. Hey there. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for hanging out with me. Matt, the Common Idiot. Thank you. One of my members. Thank you so much. Generation Pops right there. Hey, buddy. I always talk with comic books, so you're always welcome. And I'm going to put the link in the chat when we get through a little bit more. Zax is here. There he is, one of the Pops patrons. Thank you so much for hanging out, buddy. Coming in here and stop. Let's talk comic books, man. Yes. Let's see. Get some audio clipping, popping. Oh, is my audio all funky? Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe it. All right. You guys let me know. Is it still weird? Got to give me some yes or no's. Is it adding funny? Is it weird? Okay. You guys let me know. If the audio is a little weird, I don't know what to do. I will we'll play with it if it's off. Listen, it could be off. I don't know. You guys know what a boomer I am. There's a link, guys, in case you guys want to hop in here and join me. We can talk comic books or whatever. So, yeah, Rainbow Superman is come and gone. Like, he comes out to the DC universe. And again, I haven't read this, but basically the implication, not just, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's such a duplicitous thing because they still use the term that he's a bisexual person when in fact he's just gay. There's no like, oh, he still dates chicks and oh, he's making out with, Lois and he's doing whatever. That's just not happening. So, but Dean Carranz is here. Thank you, Dean. Awesome to see you, my friend. It is sad to see how far DC and Marvel have fallen. It really, really is. It is really, it really breaks my heart. I mean, you guys, it really has broken my heart. I mean, I've been doing comics and reading comics. I learned to read. I learned to read in a comic book. Used to sit on my grandfather's lap. I would ask what different words were, mostly sound effects, by the way. My first words were, typical things like Nana and stuff like that. But then it was more like pow and zow and bam and words like that were my first words that I would say regularly. But yeah, I learned to read out of a comic book pretty much. I was not a very good student early on because I was bored. I was too far ahead, I think. My mom said I used to do so, and that legacy stuck with me. So, yeah. Heron's here. Hi, thank you. Haley, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for hanging out. We'll talk comic books. So questions are always welcome. Things like that are always out there if you guys want to talk about certain things like that. So bought my first comic book from a spinner rack at a drugstore. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Spinner racks. I don't even have room for a spinner rack now. It would be the kind of thing that if something changed in my life and I had a bigger sort of studio office area, it would be one of the things that I would love to have, would be an actual retro like spinner rack. Even though they would definitely be careful with them so they don't bend your comic books. I've said it before. I'll say it again for those of you who don't know. My grandmother was my enabler of comic books. So she used to go to this little firehouse thrift store, and in there they would have comic books 10 for $1. And I would always be allowed to get $1. So, you just got whatever you got. It was just a hodgepodge of stuff, basically. I would read those and got into, pretty much all the stuff that you would expect, everything from Batman, Superman to Spider-Man and, Avengers. And then during that era, comics were still pretty cheap, right? 35 cents was the norm. And I could usually, be the adorable little kid that I was, because, I have such a cherub-like demeanor. I usually could get her to buy me one. And that's how I ended up reading Avengers very early on. Like Avengers 181 is this huge issue that I had for years of my life because I had all these characters and they were picking a team, and it took me down a rabbit's hole of the Marvel universe. And I ended up having all these different things that kind of went from there. Oh man, I wish I brought it in here. Well, if any of you come in, and I'll put you on the screen so I can go and get it. I actually found I have one comic book from my childhood. One. So I've had it since I couldn't have been older than 8 because we moved. I remember moving, and I would have had it because it doesn't have a cover. It is from my childhood, and I've kept it bagged and board. It's one of those that kind of always gets put in with something else. And when we moved, I had taken it from the spot it normally is in, kind of panicked a little bit, but I did find it. It's in the other room. I forgot to bring it in here for this. This was a very spontaneous stream, so bear with me. Zach's bought his from a 7-Eleven. Yes, Zach's. Yeah, anywhere we went. Eckerd drugstores were common. 7-Elevens. We actually had a place called Magic Markets. They were a convenience store, kind of a chain convenience store. And we moved to Florida. There was a Magic Market was actually the closest one. That's where I bought all of my sports cards. I mean, Magic Market. 7-Elevens and Magic Markets in Florida were definitely the thing for me. Comic books, cards. But yeah, the comics started at that thrift store, then grocery stores, Eckerd's, any of those kind of places you would go. You could get a comic book on the retail market and stuff like that. I don't even know. I'm trying to remember how old I was and when I went to my first comic book store in my youth. And then, because I talked about my college era when I really, really got into it. But I ended up in sports so much for so long that I don't remember going to comic book shops a lot. Or I'm just trying to remember. I remember seeing like posters and displays and stuff. So I know I went into shops in that era of my life, but I don't remember enough specifics. Once we hit college and I've talked about the Batman movie. So yeah, he was in the Marines, saw all my exposure from grocery stores and other places. Yeah, the retail market was a huge thing. This is a big element that's completely lost. And I've been reading 2 different series of modern comics, and I'm going to do a review. I have a great comic talk coming up a week from tomorrow with Wakasashi Tea House, Gray. Again, we're going to do comics talk, and he does reviews of modern comics. So he's Batman, Spider-Man, Spawn. Those are the big ones that he does. And I hadn't really read any of those. So I thought, well, I'll catch up. Well, simultaneous to this, because of the She-Hulk show and some of the Red Hulk conversations, and they casted Harrison Ford as General Ross. So I want to find out. So the first appearance of Red Hulk, and I did a community share on this or whatever. But it's the first appearance of the Red Hulk. And I would say, well, I'll start there. You know what I mean? I'll kind of jump in to something. It's a good starting place. I will say I was shocked because this is so I'm going to do a video because I actually like this. I actually like this a lot. And I'm going to tell you why. Jeff Loeb is the writer, and he is a fantastic writer. So this is before things got crazy over there. Now I don't know where he is in the grand scheme of things. Look at that beautiful cover, isn't it beautiful? Ed McGuinness did the cover and does some of the art. I only had access to issues 1 and 2, but I found a cheap copy of the graphic novel, a hardback, so I have to go pick it up. So I'm going to do that and go through it, because I will tell you what, this issue 1 and 2, and then of course there's like a king size Hulk. They were a lot of fun. These were really, really good. It's really, really a good story. Jeff Loeb is a great writer. Let's see if I can. I'll put it in the chat for you guys too, because I want to make sure you guys know how to spell Jeff Loeb's name in case you want to look stuff up. For those of you that like Batman stuff, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale do. I'll put that in there too. The Long Halloween and Dark Victory, Batman, those things. Jeff Loeb. Those are great stories. They are literally like the best of the Batman detective elements. Like it's literally, him solving a crime. So, all right. So anyway, there's that. So I'll stop that. So more to come on Red Hulk and my reading of that. So. Matt says, all right, let's see. My first comic was at a local video store near me, and my dad would go and rent our movies on Friday nights. Cool. Yeah. Did Blockbuster exclusive kind of things there, Matt? Because those are kind of cool. Is that there was some kind of stuff like that, and they would have magazine racks and things like that. Would have comics and things like that. So it's always cool. And actually, that's one of the reasons that Matt, you know how we talked about the bottom box and how it's a picture or versus the barcode. And the barcodes are newsstand. Those were newsstands. So you can imagine most of them are not kept in good condition. That's why some of those have a little bit of a premium on the price because it's very hard to get them, in nice quality. And that's kind of one of those investor elements that you can, but you can find cheap versions because they were newsstand. They're all ratted up a little bit. So, but Dean had to step out. And Dean, by the way, if you're catching us on replay or whatever, thank you for stopping in, my friend. Always a big supporter. Appreciate that. Cannoli Sasquatch. Hey there. What's going on, man? Saw you earlier on Ryan's stream with Ironcaster. I love both those guys. So it's great to see them chatting. And I love to have you here, man. But yeah, comic book talk. You guys have questions, comments, or if you want to drop on in here, we can chat and you can show off something or talk or whatever. Feel free to do that. I'll be on here for a minute. We'll talk about some things. So, but yeah, I touched on John Kent and this whole Superman canceling, not canceling thing. And I don't know, man. Series didn't even last. It's like a year and a half. Like, I don't know. I don't even know. What am I supposed to do with that? Like, we're supposed to just this nutty writer is trying to save face by saying, oh no, it didn't really get canceled. It just has this new title. I'm like, well, that's technically being canceled because the old title is ending and a new one is starting. So your sales, which do decline. So now you're going to do a new number one. So they're going to promote gay Superman, getting a new number one and promote all that, have 15 variant covers and try to have some more sales. So, can I think of Halloween themed comics besides Long Halloween? So the cliche answer would be like Marvel monster stuff, right? Believe it or not, there was a DC. What they did, it was a couple years ago. Oh man, what was it called? It was like they did like a Halloween variant of every single cover. So this month's comics would all have, it would all have a Halloween themed monster or something like that. They did that one year. So, yeah, the cheeky, simple answer is there's a ton of stuff that is the monsters, right? The Werewolf by Nights, the Dracula, the Morbius, the Ghost Rider, those kinds of things. Maybe some of the modern Man Thing or something like that. I'm trying to think. They also did. Anyway, so I mean, some of the stuff was public domain. So basically, remember, Marvel was going out of its way to figure out a way to capitalize on the popularity of the Universal monsters because stuff was kind of like Dracula is public domain. Bela Lugosi's Dracula is Universal Monsters. So that's why they have their own Dracula. Lon Chaney Jr. Werewolf is Universal, but they can make their own werewolf. So they do Werewolf by Night. So things like that. So the whole universe is full of those kinds of things. I would be honest, if you saw the little review I did on the Bloodstone 1-4, the Elsa Bloodstone stories where she starts out. Yeah. So she was that's a great little miniseries. Enjoy that very much. So, Brandon Looney Tunes here. Hey there, everybody. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I'm. So like Ghost Rider stuff, I really did enjoy, and I really love stuff that was tied to Ghost Rider, especially the 1990 series, which technically is horror stuff, like Blackout and Death Watch and those kinds of things. So it's very, very dark. It's about, basically he's a demon vengeance hunter, basically, trying to find those that have not been brought to justice. That would all count. There is congratulations. Brandon says he's at 854 subscribers. Awesome, man. Thank you so much for hopping in here and spending time with me. I appreciate it. Enjoy taking a break and always taking in some Looney Tune stuff. I'll have to be able to catch up here soon. I'm probably behind a few videos because you definitely are very, very consistent. So let's see. All right. So I don't know if that answered your question, Matt, but I can always elaborate if I needed to. Yeah, 'cause I'm not going to pretend that I was into the monsters and the horror side of it. That I was really just into like superhero stuff. I wasn't really as into the supernatural type things. Even I've dabbled with some of that kind of reading a little thing here, a little thing there. But that's just not that's not the stuff that I enjoy the most. Which is funny because I do like Spawn and Pit and things like that, which are more in line with like a horror theme. So Matt also said it was called Ultra Video, small little place, and just had a small amount of comics. Cool. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. That's similar. We had stores that were kind of like that, especially like mom and pop video stores, things that were kind of like in the middle, or like a small chain, you know what I mean, where you'd have like, they weren't Blockbusters. They were the ones before Blockbusters. So it'd be something video, and there'd be one on this side of town. They'd be like 15 minutes away. It'd be one. So there's like 3 or 4 of them. And that's where you would have like comics and magazines and things like that. It was kind of like people that did Blockbuster was like, how could we do this on scale? Right. That's kind of what was happening. So yeah, we had a little bit of that. So, all right, well, let me get to Batman news. So we did get some Batman news, and it was kind of interesting. I'm actually surprised, but I'm also not surprised. So I don't know how you guys feel about the Batman. Robert Pattinson one. I've done a couple videos on that movie. I've kind of talked a little bit about the movie I didn't like, especially with that third act. But news dropped that Matt Reeves is going to be working with them to do villain stuff. Now, there's already a Penguin project in the works with, believe it or not, Colin Farrell attached. Well, come to find out now, because they are trying to make James Gunn a larger part. Well, I'm sorry, it says that right in here. So basically, it's like the Penguin series and Arkham Asylum series, but now it's also being revealed that Reeves is working on other villains as well. So everything from Mr. Freeze and what I think is really fascinating. They didn't really give a whole good list on this article. Their version is pretty weak here. Yeah, let me just right click that, open that up, see the other order. Because Scarecrow and Clayface may also be included, which I think is way more interesting than some of the other stuff. Clayface is one I think really could easily be done. Well, we've seen Sandman. Like we've seen Sandman and Spider-Man. The premise is very similar, right? It's mud, though, instead of sand. But he can change and look like other things. I mean, the Batman animated series version of Clayface is just fantastic. Like it's just some of those, and talk about deep and tragic storytelling. Very, very good. So, let's see. This is the James Gunn article that I shared already. So let me go back and put Clayface in there, because I know that's not the article that I read when I saw this drop. Yeah, Professor Pig was the one I thought was interesting, because Professor Pig is more like a new character, not one that most people are really familiar with. Super creepy and eerie, would very, very much be, like a dark type take that can be, really, really expanded on something like HBO Max or something like that. So Professor Pig did have, I think, a little bit part in one of the Gotham seasons or whatever. But yeah. Okay, so here we go. This is THR reporter is quoted as saying, the filmmaker is in a meeting with writers and directors to build out movies. Yes, movies, not just series. Focus on Batman's rogue gallery, both established and more obscure, with characters ranging from Scarecrow, Clayface, and Professor Pig. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Here's my mixed feelings. I'm very excited as a Batman fan. I love these characters. I've loved some of the interpretations we've already seen. I enjoyed Colin Farrell as Penguin. I thought that was one of the best adaptations. And I said this is the best way because it's like Penguin year one, right? He's like the underboss of the mafia, right? So if we see the Batman 2, and I said we needed to see the Batman will hold up well if it's a progression, right? So it's like 2 years later, 3 years later, 5 years later, whatever they decide. Batman is more advanced, the tech is better, the Batmobile is better, he's better, like all of that. But the Penguin is also established, right? He is now a boss. He now has the Iceberg Lounge. He is now running stuff, and the Batman can't get stuff on him, right? That's what can be done with Penguin. Now, the problem I have with this concept of doing movies and not series is I worry that we're going to lose the script, and it's not going to be hero versus villain. It's going to be like the Disney trap of doing villain origin stories, and villains are, we should sympathize with all of them. They're not really evil. They're kind of misunderstood, or they're abused children, and they're this and that and whatever. I don't want that because there's no way I believe they'll stick to the characters' histories and their origins and the things that made them great and interesting over the years. So, let me see. But I will say there has been some really good interpretations. So, this says Warner Brothers Picture Group co-chairs Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy spoke about the company's confidence in Matt Reeves. Okay, someone like Matt will buy for him whatever he wants to do. This is them speaking to Deadline. We're making an investment from what Matt feels a pull toward in the Batman universe and otherwise. He has an open invitation to go wherever his interests take him. We'll lean into whatever Matt wants to do. In terms of writer-directors out there working in this very elaborate genre space, with everything Matt's done, from Let Me In to the Apes trilogy to the Batman, he's in a class by himself. Okay, well we're getting a little carried away in my opinion. The Batman wasn't that good. Let's be honest, right? Matt Reeves, I believe, is like a disciple of like the Abrams thing. That's another reason why I don't think the ending is quite right. Like it just seems, I don't like the ending. They kind of like missed the Batman part a little bit. But we'll know more about what he's creating because this Penguin thing's moving fast. Like they're saying Penguin's going to be back here next year on HBO Max. And it is interesting to see Colin Farrell returning. It's a lot of makeup. It's a lot of transformation. Like I said, if they're going to make it as sort of a prequel to Batman 2, that would be a very good idea. That would be the direction I'd like to go. But I really would love to see Clayface and Batman. And if they could bring this along in it would be even better. So Matt agrees. Clayface would be amazing. That could literally be like a horror movie. Yeah, I know. The actor's voice who played Clayface really made that character because it wasn't so good. They really pulled off like this tragic victim thing, this situation that happened to him that can't be undone. Which, by the way, I did a video, Matt, thanks to you, my little pop perspective on American Werewolf in London. And as I rewatched it, I was just really struck by that. Like I felt like it was like the romance, the tragic romance story of the monster. Like he's cursed now. There's no way to undo the curse. And now that we're talking about Clayface, it's the kind of thing, right? It would be could you imagine like an old John Carpenter Clayface sort of thing or something? Try to find something that would be very excited. Get very excited. Zach, if the villain is a white dude, he can just be evil. That's true. Well, but even then they can't stop themselves. There always has to be caveat. There always has to be more because, they can be the faceless white dude, right? You can have like just, nondescript white dude, but if you have like a brand like the Penguin or Scarecrow, whatever, that's when it has to be different. We have to understand them more. So, the third act is like, I don't know what happened. And I don't know if you guys have ever watched my take on the Batman. I did 2 videos, one with Gray, one without. I may even talk to a friend of mine named Rob as well. I I felt like cheated. Like it was like, so they made some changes to the Waynes and the backstory to the Batman, and I didn't hate it. And they set themselves up for they like name dropped the character who becomes Hush, who's a really cool villain who comes along later. And all they had to do was make Hush in control and show him in that last scene, tweak a few things, and not have Batman out in the daylight. And we could have made it happen, and we still could have had a little bit of what they wanted with some of the action and stuff. But there are other problems with that movie. But in hindsight, that was what I thought on it. So yeah, we'll see. Batman universe, the Batman cinematic universe is expanding. Until we get a Robin, we're not going to be there. We got to get a Robin. We have to get, gosh, that'd be the dream. Oh, it'd be the dream. We actually get something comic book accurate. So. Oh, yes. I saw you guys. Did you post that, Matt, or someone else did about, yes, please make Dead Space movie. It's a sci-fi horror video game. Yes. I'm familiar enough with it to know that it would be definitely something that I would love to see him do. I would really love to see, Matt. I'd love to see him have like the Apprentice thing going. Like we can really start to find, horror directors and action directors and, but then again, like John Landis did American Werewolf in London. I was just still like, this still just makes my brain pop. Like that still doesn't add up. Like one, the guy who does Animal House does American Werewolf in London. Who knew? But yeah, no, anything with Carpenter. Actually, so you find you guys say all this stuff because I've just been playing with YouTube. Sometimes with YouTube, when you have time where you can't make a video or whatever, I still try to find things to be productive. One of the things I wanted to do was try to expand a whole bunch of playlists because as it's gotten so big now, I thought to myself, like, well, how would anyone ever find an old video? Like they're hodgepodge in. I talk about things on other shows. I do clips. It's just kind of a mess. So I just started randomly making a ton of playlists and going through the videos and adding a bunch of them. And I still have like 3 to 4 months left of videos to go through. But I made a John Carpenter's playlist for that exact reason. I'm like, he's on a playlist. Absolutely. And I'll go back and I'll tweak them all so they're not quite. To me, you should have a playlist, but then you kind of want to make sure you whittle it down to whatever it's really focused on. And right now, I was just kind of spitting against the wall. So if you were to go to like, I don't know, I think it was action. I think it's called action. They didn't say action movies. It's action. It's just like it's probably got tons of clips and stuff that don't need to be there. Tons of duplication stuff. So, but yeah, John Carpenter, he's definitely a goat. Yeah, man, I agree. This third act of Batman, I have no idea what they were thinking. I mean, it's studio stuff. We got to have some action. We got to have some fight scenes. Use this gadget. Do this, whatever. But the ending with the whole, when he's taking I felt like somebody sold them on this image of having the flare and leading them out into the daylight, helping people on the chopper, and everyone can see him. It magnified the worst parts of the film was that he wasn't the Batman. Right. So like when he was walking in with those police scenes, I hated those. He should just show up in the room. It's the best part of comic books, man. When you're reading a Batman comic book and they're at a crime scene and Gordon's talking and then he'll just be standing there and you're like, holy crap, how did he get in the room? How long has he been there? And sometimes the characters in the comic book will talk about that. Like, how long have you been standing there? Right. They've got to get to that point. If they don't, it's just, but again, like I said, if I treat the Batman as more like a year, well, you said year 2, right? Your second year or for whatever it is, it's very early in his career. We have evolution. Then I'm better with it. So Zombie Box Reviews. Hey man, saw him over on Ryan's channel doing the mod thing, running the show over there. So thanks for hopping in here, talking comic book stuff. So we're wrapping up on this news of so basically Batman cinematic universe of their desire to expand the rogue gallery in all these different avenues of not just shows, but also movies and things like that. So Scarecrow, Clayface were the two that really, really stuck out for me. But obviously Professor Pig was also mentioned by name. Those are all interest. Do you guys need me to pull up like who some of those are? You guys know who everybody is? We know what Professor Pig looks like. I should pull up Professor Pig. I think everybody knows what Scarecrow looks like. He's been adapted a million times. Let me pull up Professor Pig so you guys can have a feel for what Professor Pig looks like. Let's see here. This is Professor Pig. This was, I believe, from Gotham. Yeah, this is Gotham. Wish you could just get it to make the picture big, but it doesn't always want to cooperate. So Gotham did a little, like a generic Professor Pig. Like they barely scratched the surface. You know what I mean? Like it kind of was Professor Pig, but it wasn't scary. It was intense, but not menacing. How's that? It was intense, but not menacing. That's the best way to describe Gotham's Professor Pig. Dude wears a creepy mask. It's a lot of psychological torture, physical torture, those kinds of things. A strange character, an odd villain, and a more modern one compared to some of the other things. But yeah, no, it's not a bad choice. I'm trying to get a picture of the comic book contrast, but I don't have a good one that is popping up. Here's one. Because you do have some images. This is from, so the irony is, by the way, it's a little weird for me to have to even admit it. He was introduced in Batman issue number 666. It's an easy one to remember. Hence the reason I know. Yeah, this is just a little quite off. Him without some of the, there you go. So yeah, Professor Pig. I don't know what else they got in here today. That's not all Professor Pig. Isn't that great too? Whenever they try to say, well, this page is dedicated to Professor Pig and whatever. So anyway. Yeah, so no, that was interesting. I was happy to see the news. I am a little anxious about the kind of what's next kind of thing. So let me show you guys Wolverine. So everybody's asking. So this has been one of the more common things that I got asked is like, what are the good things to read? Where do I jump in? Where are some of these kinds of things? Okay. So Wolverine issue number 20. This is a Marvel Knights issue. So let me pull it up. Let me get it big for you guys so I can share it for you guys. If you write down Wolverine, Enemy of the State. This is a great one to read. Good place to start. Good story. Start to stop. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Let me share that. Sorry. Got to bear with my boomer, and you guys should know. Why is it? Oh, it must be this one. Yeah, there we go. So this is issue number 20. It's the Marvel Knights, Mark Millar. Mark Millar is a very good writer. He's gone kind of indie, so he's not really caught up in a lot of this kind of stuff. You guys know Mark Millar, tied to Invincible and stuff. It's called Enemy of the State. So there's another one I can recommend. I don't have it pulled up, but I will recommend as well. Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe. And that's like a graphic novel, standalone graphic novel. So the premises are very similar. Like this is a story where Wolverine is going around killing everyone, and that one's a story where Punisher is going around killing everyone, and the reason why. And it's a really good story. So those are really good recommends. If you're into X-Men, Wolverine, I'm sure there's a collected issue of this story. I'm 99% sure it's only like 6 issues or so. So you should be able to find it. There's got to be a graphic novel, those kinds of things. It's not recent, so it should be something you can find in the back issues and search eBay for a cheap version and those kinds of things as well. So that's one. I have more on my list, but I see some chat questions. Let's make sure I get back to that. So, yeah, who was the villain that there was a puppet and a ventriloquist in Batman? The answer, Bobby, is the ventriloquist. Believe it or not, it's that silly and that simple. There are, I don't know. I love saying I can't see how it would be adapted because it's almost like the challenge. Challenge accepted. Yes, go out there and adapt the ventriloquist and make me believe it. So ventriloquist is a uber nerdy dude who has like a puppet, which is like the machine gun toting mafia gangster killer, and they're together, and definitely interesting, and definitely a nice juxtaposition against some of the other villains, and does play well at times for Batman. Not sure it would adapt well for screen, but hey, Bobby, thanks for being here, my friend. Darius Munchausen, hey there, my friend. Right back at you, bro. Thank you. So, are you excited to see Black Adam? Okay, so boy, talk about a great question, because it was a hard no, but obviously the Henry Cavill news, which is kind of what I suspected, and because I feel like, because they're talking about a Man of Steel 2, because they're talking about kind of moving towards, and again, I've been clear, I'm not a huge Zack Snyder fan. I'm not as big of a fan as people are on his works in the DCEU. I don't necessarily even want to see him back as part of all of it. But the casting was never the issue. There were script issues and things like that with Justice League and all these kinds of things. There are just a lot of elements in Black Adam that did not look appealing. But I will admit, I am literally trying to work out the details to go and see it early on Friday. Now, I don't think I'm going to get to a video on Friday even after I see it, but that way I can at least have seen it before all of this is out there, and I won't have to worry about a spoiler or something like that. I really wish I could get a chance to see it early enough that I could also do a video and then head into the weekend. I don't think my schedule is going to allow that. I definitely can't go tomorrow night because I have a stream at 5:30. I'll be doing with Troy Pacelli. We'll be doing Argo, which, by the way, if you guys haven't seen Argo, I rewatched it today. Argo is an Academy Award-winning film that turns 10 this year. It's a geopolitical history film that deals with the Iranian crisis, but there's a dab of sci-fi in it, and there's some great suspense, and it's a really good film. I can't wait to talk about it with him. And then that night, tomorrow night, I will be on with Jacob Ironside, his channel, because you guys can invite me. I will try to make your shows if I can. And we're going to talk about Jaws, which, by the way, even though I will watch again tomorrow in preparation, I don't need to because I have watched it about 1 million times because it is definitely one of my top 10 of all time. So I hope JC does direct a Dead Space movie. Oh my gosh, yes. And I still get freaked out every time I watch The Thing. Yes, we have all been throwing Thing praise around. I just did another video. Matt, the common idiot who you see here in chat, he's also done it. Did a talk hard on Thing. So yeah, not enough Thing love. It's just the practical effects. Oh, and by the way, Zombie Box reviews. I'll put Rob's name in there so you know who I'm talking about. Rob Botine. He does the special effects for Thing. Go and just watch some of the videos and interviews and behind the scenes and him talking about using like food, using eggs and actual mixing up. So how much it was not real, like they didn't cut someone up, but it was real stuff. It's another reason why it feels so authentic and so good. Like it's so amazing. So, oh man, I'm so glad, Matt, that you have read that book. That is, I don't even have a copy anymore. I gave it to someone to get them into reading comics. I think it's one of the best standalone comics ever. It really, really is. Now, it's the way it ends is just, I feel you're heartbroken. Like you're, holy cow, this movie goes dark. It goes heavy. Great read. So the Wolverine equivalent to that, or very similar to that, is what I was showing you. The Wolverine Enemy of the State, which begins at Wolverine number 20. So that's what I was showing you guys. So let's see. I haven't read those many comics, but I do enjoy watching videos on them. Cool. No, hey, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to let me know what you're into, that I would know what I could recommend or how I can recommend things. So people have asked, like, I was on a channel one time and they were talking about like Uncanny X-Men, like the classic Uncanny. So Uncanny is where X-Men started. So X-Men started and it's going along for decades. Incredible stories. And very expensive because they have a massive fan base, right? It would be like talking about old Spider-Man, right? Massive fan base, very expensive on key issues, right? And then in the 1990s, 1991 to be more precise, they did a second series. They didn't stop the other one. So Uncanny still goes. Now you have X-Men. That's with Jim Lee and that incredible art, which is iconic, especially because of the fans of the animated series, which there was a comic book that's based on or tied to X-Men animated series in X-Men 97. That's called X-Men Adventures. So, when you go through all these different things, it's hard to know what to recommend to people. What I try to do is I try to find things to say, all right, well, here's you want to read it. So let me help you figure out how to get this graphic novel or this reprint or this, so you can find a way to enjoy it and figure out what you actually like or don't like. So that's kind of my take on my channel. It's a little different than like being just a comic book review channel, which I have enjoyed doing, by the way. I put some Daredevil ones up. I got this Hulk one coming. I have a few more. I've been reading some more comics. I read 4 or 5 issues today, actually. So, and I have other stuff that I've gotten that I just haven't gotten through. So, hey there, Nas. Thank you, man. I am all about gay Superman. You were trolling. Always thought he was, since he wears his underwear on the outside. Yeah. I got to be honest, Nas. That was one of the things that angered me about Man of Steel was they changed the costume. I hated it. I hated the costume. I didn't like the shorts being gone. I don't know why. I think it's just because it's iconic. I know it sounds dumb. I got it. Where's the short underwear on the outside? I got it. I do. I have to admit it's kind of dumb, but there's something about it being iconic, and that's why for me. Yeah, that was one of my big hangups with Man of Steel. So, Mr. Scarface, yes. And love the ventriloquist live action would be tricky. Yeah, it would be hard to do. So, and Henry is a freaking great Superman. Isn't it just frustrating that I got to be honest, I know people love the Snyder cut, but to me, it's still a mess. It just, when BVS ended, when Batman vs. Superman ends, and you have that cut scene where you see the dust and the debris on the coffin move, when they go to look for Superman in Justice League, why is the coffin just not empty and he's not in his black suit in the freaking Fortress of Solitude recovering, and we just go straight into what Reign of Superman kind of is? Like, we didn't need so much of what they tried to do in Justice League. I just hated it. And then to have this whole, he turns evil because of Lois and blah. Okay, no, we don't need all that. So I've said all along, DC is so far behind the curve that they've missed so many opportunities. Because the easiest one would have been to do was Brainiac with like a Matrix theme, because Brainiac is freaking amazing. But now it's like an Ultron knockoff, is what it seemed like to me. So, yes, Nas, that was Argo. He started it and directed it, and he is so subtle in this film. Like, there are so many great scenes that he has. I just loved it, and there's so many great lines. Actually, I downloaded the trailer to start working on a couple clips for tomorrow night's show, so I can have a couple clips, because there's some good stuff in there. And I look forward to talking about that movie. I love anniversary stuff. For those of you who have not figured that out at home, I love sort of honoring a film. It is also a cheap way. It's a YouTube tip. It's a cheap way to piggyback the algorithm, because even normies will look at 20th anniversary, 10th anniversary, 40th anniversary, blah, blah, blah. You'll have Turner Classic Movies will run anniversary stuff. Fathom Events will run anniversary stuff. I know. To me, that's my way of writing the algorithm. I don't want to fake it. And I don't review things just because, right? Like Mr. Baseball just had an anniversary, and I didn't review Mr. Baseball because it turned, I think, 30 years or whatever. I don't. It's fine. It's a fine movie. What is that? Bernie Mac and Tom Selleck or something. Right. I'm not going to do stuff I'm not interested in doing. That's part of the reason I wanted this job, or wanted to make this more of like a, do this, because I want to have control of what I do and not doing it for other people. So, Zombie Box Reviews. I will come back to your question. Argo, next level thriller. My palms were sweaty. Isn't it crazy how intense and real it felt? Like, you just get so caught up in it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like people just trying to escape. And it is such a masterpiece of filmmaking in this film. So my first review with Troy Petrelli tomorrow, 5:30 Eastern time, and I will almost certainly guarantee I will find a way to get this on the radar screen for a talk hard or something else later on, because I enjoy this movie so much more. And Darius says, after getting a degree in CGI, I'm actually much more impressed by practical effects. The brain always knows when it's real and feels it. I know. And if you go back and you listen to these interviews with Rob Bottin, Rick Baker, and you can look up Rick Baker interviews, and you can hear him talking about, like, when they did American Werewolf in London, they would use these they would basically hand push them in. I don't know what the technique is called. Maybe you guys know what the technique is, where they would push real hair. I guess it's like goat or yak hair in, and it's goat and yak hair going right into the latex and things like that. And so many of these masks, even when they look, this is why these artists get so frustrated when they use their masks like in a cheap way, right? Well, it's like the 4th or 5th Planet of the Apes movie where you can tell they're all wearing masks. It looked so cheap. Like, it was really pathetic, right? Because these guys have done so much work sometimes to make just incredible things. Yeah, I didn't even do justice to the practical effects of things. We could do a whole stream just on the practical effects of that. So, the Superman replica, the thumbnail. Yeah, man. Well, listen, I talked about that first and foremost, man. John Kent, man. He comes out to the whole DC universe, and next thing you know, book's canceled. They're changing the title, so it's not really canceled. It's freaking, oh, geez. Real men wear their underwear on the outside. Okay. I don't. That's not good. You don't want to see all this. You don't want to see all this. So, okay, Zombie Box Reviews. I'll go back to your question. I didn't forget. CGI should be used to enhance practical effects, but practical effects on its own is not enough. I agree. I always looked at CGI as the practical way of replacing matte paintings, right? You guys know what matte paintings are, like Return of the Jedi and things like that. Had matte paintings, right? So they're walking up to Jabba's palace, and they had a practical building and thing that they're walking towards, but the stuff in the background, the landscaping, the second sun, those kinds of things were matte paintings. That the CGI, you'd be able to make that more elaborate. You'd be able to you'd see the sand moving. You'd see ripples in the water. We saw it with Dune, right? Dune did this so well. It replaced the matte painting effects of things like that. But practical effects, like for what we're talking about with like The Thing or American Werewolf London, things like that, I mean, it's just top notch. That's just top notch. Okay. So this is a list. I don't even know how to pick one. But I will try to give you a ballpark of where I'm coming at, and maybe we can whittle it down together. So you guys can feel free to drop your comments in the chat. Favorite live action comic book movie. Okay. So let me put some things on the list that you may not even know are comic books, and to make this more complicated, because this is how my brain works. My brain will include things, ready? From Hell, Road to Perdition, Men in Black, those kinds of things, right? I don't dislike The Watchmen. I think it's a fair adaptation. I don't. The end of Watchmen with the squids and the octopus thing, the squid stuff, is kind of like my least favorite part of the comic book series. So when the film got modified and they only used like one piece of the comic book, I think, oh, this is fine, right? Now, do we also include 300 and Sin City, which are almost like storyboards? Like, those are like literal adaptations. Like, they literally shot the comic book on screen with 300 and Sin City. There's massive segments of those that are there's no reason to read the comic book. It literally is on screen for you. So do I take those and elevate those because they're more accurate, or do I have to go to a more general interpretation as a reviewer and a fan, which is kind of what I do, right? I just kind of prefer, right? Live action comic book movie, I would say, here's some of my thoughts. Avengers 2012 is the best popcorn movie. Like, it took the Star Wars formula, it took that Jaws formula, the summer blockbuster thing, and made it a bigger thing. Man, I tell you what, I couldn't believe it when I'm watching, all of them together at the end, and that fight scene, the Battle of New York, and just, that's my favorite, like, popcorn movie, right? I love Dark Knight. as a Batman fan. It's my favorite. And it's because I say there's always needs to be a rewatchable factor with a review, right? I can say a movie is a 10, but if I never want to see it again, is it really a 10? Right? I can argue Batman Begins gets a pretty bad shake. I can argue that, Keaton has some better elements as a Bruce Wayne and a Batman than Bale. I can talk about all that, but Dark Knight, man, I've rewatched but Dark Knight way more than I've watched the other movies, even Batman 89, which I adore Batman 89. I love it. My favorite Marvel movie would be Captain America Winter Soldier, which is very closely nudging out Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy script is incredible. It is unorthodox. It's fantastic. But Winter Soldier is like a Bourne Identity movie with superheroes. I think Winter Soldier is freaking fantastic. But then the goats are kind of like Spider-Man, not amazing. I almost misspoke. That's a big flub. Please delete that. That's not what I meant to say. The goats are Spider-Man 2 and Superman. And I like Superman 2. Superman 2 is my guilty pleasure because I know there's a lot of issues with it, with some of the CGI and how the characters act a little over the top and whatever. But I kind of treat them almost as one big movie in some ways. Because it's very rare I ever watch Superman 78 and not watch, Superman 2. I usually watch them together. So those are my thoughts. I don't know. I don't even know how to list. I don't even know how to. So Loki did this to me once. He asked me like, how do you, I don't know. I don't know how you can compare some of those. How do I compare Superman 78 to Winter Soldier? And so how do I break that up and try to compare that? I don't know. I choose not to. I cheat. I choose not to. So, Nas, have I ever played Alien Isolation, the game? No. Nas, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm not a gamer. I am horrible at doing that kind of stuff. I went through phases really with Star Wars with my kids because my boys were into Star Wars. So we had some Star Wars games. I'd be into them with that. Used to take them with Chuck E. Cheese. So not the OG, Star Wars TIE Fighter thing that you're in, where you were in the trench, because that game was next to impossible for me at the time. I couldn't get it down. But the one that came out later, so I guess it's in the 90s or 2000s, it was in Chuck E. Cheese. That one I actually played a lot and got into that. Ninja Turtles and things like that. So arcade games are more like my speed. Like that was my thing. Like, back in the day, Centipede and Tempest and those kinds of things. Atari. But yeah, all the modern stuff. And I just gotta be honest, I don't even have the patience to get the dexterity down to try to reprogram my brain to be able to do all that. You know how hard it was to learn to do Rubik's Cube? Because I could do Rubik's Cube, and it was on my bucket list of things to do. So that was actually work for me. So there should be a happy medium between the two. Okay. If you like Argo, check out Escape from Mogadishu. Oh, okay, cool. I don't know about that. What is that? All right, I'm writing it down. But I feel you've not really steered me wrong yet. So, Escape from Mogadishu. Maybe you already told me that too. I apologize if you haven't. I haven't gotten to it. As you can tell, I have a list, so things have to kind of move through the list, and we have to kind of go through accordingly. So, yeah, I recorded this little tribute video today. I'll publish it tomorrow. The transformation scene. Well, first I have to get everybody else because everyone else started doing the videos because it's Halloween. It's October, and it made me want to watch it again. And I watched it again, and I just loved it so much. And the transformation scene is it's incredible. And you can see it. Like once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like I can see where the actor is, and I can see this is the hand that's, the machine. This is the mechanic that they made. And then I can see the cut. So I can see the jaw. I can see it. Oh, it's so good though. So good. Oh my gosh. It's like, what do we call it? We can't, I don't know. We can't call it nerd boner and nerdgasms and all those kinds of things. My wife was cringing when I was trying to say these things. So Hey, Jacob Ironside. Looking forward to tomorrow, my friend. Looking forward to tomorrow. Jaws. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Oh my god. They're all paintings by a guy named Matt. Bum bum bum. Very good. Very good. Yeah, I really don't understand like the full on like CGI room. Like everything is green, everything is, what I really don't understand. Because you're not even filmmaking at that point. Like I don't even understand why you have the actors. You're just making an animated movie. It's just with CGI. But every now and again, you want to pick a human to be in it for some reason. And I really don't. And I think this is another reason why the industry is just falling apart, because it also is going to perpetuate like lazy filmmaking, less creativity, less innovation. Like I said, I did a video as well. It'll drop tomorrow. I try to praise Evil Dead 1, like the 1981 version, because think about when you have no money. Because again, when you look at these budgets, like for Halloween and Evil Dead in particular, because they had like $300,000 something dollar budgets, like 375, 325, 375. Most of that is in the film. Like you have to, get the film, the camera, develop the film, make prints, those kinds of things. Most of it's in the film. So they have no money, right? The outfits the actors are wearing are probably their own. Like the famous story, right? Jamie Lee Curtis went to like a Kmart and bought some clothes. But the amount of innovation you have to do is like, okay, I want to do this. So how could we could get the fog machines doing this. I could have someone raising up the leaves, and then I'll cut and I'll race the camera through the woods, and then I'll run it back at a faster speed. So all of that just breeds creativity and innovation and ideas and giving new voices, new thoughts of how to make it better. CGI is just like, get a different computer nerd. And now that they rely on it so much that they can't even keep up with all their computer needs. Yeah, Zombie's right. Yeah, it's overused. It's so overused. It's insane. So Rocketeer 91. Oh, Jacob Ironside. Great choice. Just a great choice. Great film. Totally underrated film. And by the way, I have a great Rocketeer story for you, Jacob. And for those of you in chat, of course. So when I saw Rocketeer in the theater, we didn't get to it right away or something. I forget exactly why we didn't get to it right away. It's one of those things when you're in college, it's probably like, you had tests or finals and couldn't go when it first came out. Sorry, my back's killing me. I have a cramp in my back today. It got chilly in Florida. It got into like the 50s where I'm at. Anyway, so we go to see Rocketeer at Varsity 6 in Tampa near the university, and no one was there. It was just us. And actually, it was just when I reminisced about this on another stream, I had called my friend and we were talking about it. And the three of us were there. At one point, we were just having, because the credits are playing, we're not paying attention to the credits. We're like, I can't believe we're here by ourselves. We're staying on the chairs. We're being stupid children till the movie started, of course. But yeah, great memories. Great movie. Love that movie. All right. Practical effects are always better until technology advances to a scary level where we get over the uncanny valley. It's funny you say that, Nas, because I went to a screening of U2. U2 did this like 3D concert thing, and it was really pretty good. Like, if you were looking at the screen, you felt like it was 3 dimensions, right? But the problem was you couldn't do edits. So anytime they would do an edit in the movie, your eyes are not editing. Like your eyes are like, why did we move? Like it was just, my wife was like, I think I don't know if she said she was getting dizzy or just disoriented or she just didn't like it. I'm not exactly sure what she thought, but that was the problem I had. And I don't know how they overcome that. Like, how do you get some of those details and then transition and you still feel that immersed? Some things work. I mean, Dune is a beautiful film. I just didn't like the ending, and I'm kind of really don't find it as immersive and kind of find it kind of bland, but visually, massive success. Massive success. Favorite is Deadpool. Fair enough. It's a good one. It's fun. Surprised me. Not a huge fan. The comic book stuff just gets old. I got to be honest. I was just reading Wolverine 88, which is the first time Wolverine and Deadpool fight. Wolverine 88. Got a cool cover, by the way. And his cheekiness and his cutting up, and he thinks he's all that. And of course, he gets the upper hand in the first part of the comic or whatever. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's just me. And I love Daredevil. I love Deadpool. That's what that big red book is right there. That's a Deadpool book. That's that reprints Deadpool. Like it's this massive encyclopedia thing I found. And then once I had it, I didn't know what to do with it because I realized that I could not ship this thing because it's like a $200 thing, but it's going to cost like probably way more than $40 to ship it. I don't even believe they're going to let me ship it media because they're not going to believe it's a book. So I don't know. Infinity War really stood out to me. You know what, Nas? It really did. And I will say, even though I knew it was a lie, when they kill off characters, I mean, I got emotional, especially Spider-Man, of course. You know what I mean? And I'll never forget seeing it because we saw screeners, saw it with the kids opening night, those kinds of things. And you hear the sighs in the audience. And then I think somebody was like, when Black Panther dies, like, no, they did not. You know, that kind of stuff happens. I can just tell you that I enjoyed the MCU journey. Endgame was a big bookmark to it all. And while there's been a few moments where things are okay, it's been a disaster ever since, in my opinion. There's a few moments there things are just like, you know, not terrible, but it doesn't last long. They usually mess it up. So, but yeah, Infinity War is, well, I wouldn't say it peaked. I would just say that's kind of like, that's the end. Endgame is fine, but Endgame is a massive step down from Infinity War. So, can always ask Watch. You ask about the Batman. Well, we touched on it briefly. Let me just say this. I like 2/3 of the Batman. What I like about the Batman, I've done a couple of videos on the Batman, and that is if we treat it as a year one, like very early in his career, like this is he doesn't quite know what he's doing. You can see like he has the gadgets on the outside. You can see everything. The prototype Batmobile. We're also seeing like Penguin as an underboss, right? He's not in charge yet. So in Batman 2 or the TV show Penguin, or we see these things evolve, then I'm going to have more respect for the Batman. I didn't hate Robert Pattinson as the Batman. I hated Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne. He's not Bruce Wayne. It was terrible. He was like emo Bruce Wayne. I'm like, this is terrible. I hated it. It was just distracting. Many elements of the film I could not stand. I hated the fact that he would just walk around with the police and he didn't really solve problems, really. He just kind of kept walking into them. And then the third act, I hated the third act. Like leading them out with the flare into the daylight and just some of this. There's just a ton of mess and issues with it. I thought Catwoman was fine. Jeffrey Wright is Gordon. I mean, you know, they race swapping characters. It bothers me, but it's not like the end of the world. It's like, okay, it is what it is. Yeah. So that's kind of my general thoughts. I have videos on it. You feel free to find them if you can. The Phantom with Billy Zane was a fun comic book adaptation. It's fine. The problem with that film was just when it was made. You know what I mean? Like it's like we can do the purple suit in the shadows. You know, superhero suits can work in the shadows. This is what Marvel had the problem with back in the day when they did those, like, you know, Corbin's Fantastic Four or whatever. It's like it just looks silly in pajamas and stuff or in spandex or whatever. It doesn't adapt well to the human eye because, you know, it's bright colors and things like that. Story wise, it was fine. It was okay. I'm not going to say it's good or great or whatever. So. Yeah, Nas, that's why I listed among my goats. Like I said, Raimi's Spider-Man 2 and the Superman 78 and Superman 2, because I kind of have them as kind of like one big epic. Yeah. Tobey was a great Peter Parker. But I will say, if I had this version of Andrew Garfield, his Peter Parker, because let's face it, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 were always derailed by the fact that they were obsessed with the love interest stuff. They were obsessed with all that other stuff. We didn't get a fair shake. And the Tom Holland storyline has worked for me because now he's actually Spider-Man. It's just been called Spider-Man, but it wasn't. It's been the journey of Spider-Boy to get to be Spider-Man. So now he's actually Spider-Man. So we'll see what happens. So I haven't hated him as Spider-Boy. I just didn't like, where we were. So yeah, the cheekiness and silliness is where most people are hung up. I will say I already have my grandkids, even my 2-year-old grandson, cheering for Superman as he catches that helicopter. Ah, saves Lois. But how do you not love Zod in the fight scene? Excuse me, goodness. I didn't think I was talking that much. Oh, man. Klaus Kinski movies. Oh, my gosh. I would not even pretend to know Klaus Kinski's movies off the top of my head. That would not be something that I would pretend to know. So let's see where we're at with Klaus Kinski. So I would not exclude or include something from a Werner Herzog film. Where's his filmography list? Do I have a list here? So, yeah, Dr. Zhivago, Vampire in Venice, Spaghetti Westerns. Oh my gosh, yeah, he was in A Few Dollars More, wasn't he? Oh, I love A Few Dollars More. Yeah, the Nosferatu film, the 79 one. Yeah, that was so good. Yeah, he's a major villain at Lost Ark. I just don't, man, I don't know. Oh, that's tough. How could I not go with the Raiders role? Because it's almost like this crazy, iconic thing that everyone knows about. Is that what he's known for? Is that like, if we look at his bio, is that what it says? I didn't even look. I just kind of clicked a filmography list. No, it just says intense performance style and notorious for volatile personality. Yeah. Yeah, 79 Nosferatu, A Few Dollars More. What is he in? Yeah. And the Raiders would be the ones that would be the hardest to choose from. Raiders seems like the one that would be the most iconic in the grand scheme of things. Nosferatu. It's your brand, I suppose, right? It's your name. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna try to pretend to be an expert because I'm not. So, and you gotta like the guy's work. I mean, listen, when people show up and they just deliver, it's, you just gotta love it. So, Donner Cut, yeah, I like the Donner Cut. I love the Donner Cut. Yeah, so does Zombie. Yeah. Oh, the arcade game. Yeah, that was my thing. I loved it. So, Zach's cracking me up. Pod racing, Bobby the Pod racing thing. Yeah. It's a little bit of that. Yeah, the Donner Cut fixes a few things. Well, there's just such a mess that surrounded the Superman movies with, Marlon Brando flaking out on them and stuff. So it's just everything about all this stuff. It's just, to me, it's just still a blessing and a miracle that we got what we got. So, Cannoli Sasquatch, I assume you were discussing American Werewolf in London, because yeah, it's freaking amazing. And it is like, so again, I did a video that'll drop tomorrow. You tell what you think. So, oh my gosh, Zombie, you watched it when you were 9? Ugh, I didn't watch it when they were 9. I was 9. I watched Jaws way too young. That was my one I should not have watched. Oh, you're talking about my Evil Dead take? Yeah. No, listen, I understand. I said that in my video. I call it Popspective. You guys came up with that name, by the way. Soul Assassin, I think it's a credit. Popspective on it, because I didn't want to do a full review of them. I'm not that big enough a fan. I really have much to contribute. And I explain why I prefer which ones, pretty much. I was about the same age. I couldn't sleep for days. Yeah. Whew. 9 would be way too young. So, how would I rank the Evil Dead films? 2, Army, 1, Ash vs. Evil Dead, and remake. Cool. Villeneuve, visual director, gets kind of boring, doesn't have as good a world building through storytelling like Ridley Scott had in his prime. Yeah, no. Look, yeah. It's a tough call because I'm not into the Dune stuff and I just don't care for it as much. But Ridley Scott does a really, really great job with Blade Runner. And you compare that to 2049, yeah, I agree. It's not even, well, first off, 2049, it's just hindered by just like crappy storytelling. Like, oh my gosh, how many scenes just what's like we're walking, nothing's happening, just people are standing around, blah blah blah. So Zach, that's good. Is season okay? For those of you who watch, can you let me know? Is season 2 good? Is Superman and Lois season 2 good? I've got through season 1. I enjoyed it a lot. I never watched season 2 yet. And because I want to rewatch 1 when I do it because I didn't really do videos. So yeah, we ended up down the Klaus Kinski rabbit hole a little bit. You know, it's funny you bring that up, Nas. I really do love the actors that have done that kind of work where they've got like a million roles. People know them, but they don't know them. Yeah, he's just that's what I really admire because it means you brought it, man. You brought it every day. You were hired. You did your job. You showed up. You were immersed in characters. You found cool characters to play. So Hunchback and a few dollars more. Yeah, okay. And I know he's your. Yeah, I got that. He's not 79. Yeah, got you. Yeah, no Wrath of God and Fitzcarraldo. Man, I haven't watched this stuff in years. I don't own any of it. So I'd have to dig it up. Let's see. Oh no, not the Dean Cain one. Let's see. Oh, the 70s had a very loose PG thing. That's why Jaws was so shocking. No, I was just too young. I was 5. My aunt was my sitter. She had a date. I was supposed to be the date that would prevent them from, doing what people did on their dates. She took me to see Jaws. I screamed bloody murder, wouldn't get in the bathtub. I've heard about it my whole life. Yeah, they're talking about that CW show. And it was good. It's what everybody said. Season 1 was good. I definitely give vouch for that. Zach's coming up with smash or pass in my chat. That's funny. So that's funny. Let's see. Season 2 still good, not perfect, but way too good for CW. Yeah. You know what? I have never dived into that, Zach's too, like the creative team behind it to figure out why it's good. Maybe you guys know. Yeah, I don't really know exactly like why is it so good? Like how did it make it through? That's kind of weird. So, one more Kinski things. Best Fiend. It's on YouTube, 2 parts. Herzog. Yeah. Documentary on how crazy he was. Cool. Okay. Cool. Kinski doc. Is what's it called? My Best Fiend. Being on YouTube is even better news. That's even great. So Chris Persia in the house, the Wrench of Wrenches, also one of the members of the channel. Thank you very much, Chris, for being a member and also just being my modrotic, my Pops mod. Watched Exorcist on TV at 8. 2 days later, was told the events were based on true story. 8-year-old me had nightmares for a week. Now, Chris, did you see the one in that version? Because there are multiple versions of Exorcist. Is that the one where she does the spider thing down the stairs? Because that's the first version I saw. It had the spider thing down the stairs. And that was like to my core, scared the bejesus out of me. Like, yeah, I don't know how old I was. So I was young because it's before I saw Alien, and because Alien scared me, and I was older for Alien. I think I was 10. I think I was 10. Let me try to figure out when it dropped on TV because I didn't see it in the theater. I wouldn't have been allowed to see it in the theater. Alien was 79. Yeah, 79. So it probably was on TV in 80. So I was 10. Yeah, 10. And I wasn't allowed to see it in theater, and it scared me. But actually, I was younger than 10, so I was pretty close to experience. And I don't know. You tell me, Chris, did you have the the Spider Linda Blair freaking experience, because holy crap. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, Zombie. That's 8. It's like, yeah. Oh, yeah. The Spider. Oh, yeah. It's I don't know about you guys. I do not have any desire to watch Exorcist again. I'm not. Sorry, I'm not putting a poll up for that. I just don't. I have a thing. I just don't. It's, it is partially my faith, but it's also just like, I don't want to deal with like the supernatural spiritual ones like Omen and Exorcist and stuff like that. Because Evil Dead's kind of the closest, but I think Evil Dead doesn't bother me because it's so silly, right? The effects and the silliness kind of, yeah. But I've never watched like Insidious and some of those modern things like that. So, all right. Hey, Old Gamer, also a member. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for being here, hanging out with us. We were talking comic books, and now we're just derailed into chat. We're like all over the map, aren't we, guys? Talking about all sorts of crazy stuff. So, it was on TV back in 1980. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so it came out in 79, and then 80. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, man. Yeah, freaked out. Old Gamer, that's so great that you bring that up. That's what my wife and I are watching. I got her to watch. She scoffed, and so I didn't want to watch it with her, but she kind of like did the whole thing. Like she knew that it upset me. And yeah. Anyway, we're watching that. We haven't got to that part that you're talking about, though. Well, that's not true. They had the one fight scene where you pull the skin off and you can see it's a lizard. That part. We like that part. That movie, that show is so not PC. I was thinking about trying to do a video and try to figure out how to get some of the clips of some of the stuff they say and do in that show, because it's great. It's 1983. So we have part 2 to watch. So saw it in theaters for the first time as a re-release. I was freaked out. That stair scene is so messed up. Yeah. Oh my gosh, man. Imagine being like a little kid like Chris and I were. Like, I mean, what is wrong with our families exposing us to crap like this? Yeah. One of the scariest theater experiences you had? So I always, the scariest experience I have is usually because I'm with other people that do it. It's not because the movie scares me. It's because I'm with other people, and that's what scares you, right? So, for instance, so maybe that's what someone was talking about. Exorcist 3. There's a jump scene with like the scissors in the head coming out. It just comes out like that, like really fast. And everyone screamed bloody murder. And I think somebody were kicked my chair or something like that. It just scared the bejesus out of me. That was one. Similar thing happened at Pet Sematary. When it's also Pet Sematary in the theater. It's like, it's everyone else, man. It's not just the movie. It's everyone else just do that. No, Nas, by the way, I see what y'all are doing down there. No, so I see what you guys are doing. No. We're not doing Exorcists. So you can just take that right out. You can do a poll, but not doing that. No. Oh, Gator poll. Oh, you guys are crazy. So, yeah, skin peels a bit much for a kid. The head spinning around in the vomit in Exorcist was not a problem, but it was definitely the spider walk, and then the skin peel in V with the whole lizard thing. Like there's a creepiness that was just like, ew. Now, but I was older. Like I don't remember exactly when it dropped in 83. We had to look it up. Because I was 12 or 13. So I was a little older. It didn't get me the same way, because I already got through Alien. So the thing with Alien was when that little tentacle comes out to get that girl, right? I was like, is that doing what I think it's doing? I'm like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Zombie Box Reviews. I did 2 reviews right here on the Old Pops channel, so feel free to hit the movie review section or whatever. You'll find Hellraiser there, or hit horror if you go into the crazy amount of playlists that I just added. There's a Hellraiser 1 and Hellraiser 2, and then I did the review of the Hellraiser 2022, which I also did. Massive fan of Pinhead and Cenobites, and when it came out, went down a Clive Barker rabbit hole at a time in my life. So, all right, better than Alien and Titanic combined. All right. Nas says Exorcist 3 is underrated. Well, I really watched it again, but like I said, jump scare got me because of the freaking people around me. At Pet Cemetery was my date, which she just pulled on me or whatever, scared the crap out of me. Like, holy crap, lady. All right, Zombie. Well, you know what? We have to talk about that. Not as good as the first two, but it's infinitely better than the later sequels. Okay, see, that's kind of where I stopped because I couldn't watch them in order. So I stopped at Hellraiser. See, the Hellraiser is like from 3, the few that I've seen. I know I saw 3, but the ones after that or whatever, I haven't seen them in forever. And I could not get copies for free. I wasn't going to buy them because I'm not going to watch them ever. I'm not going to watch them enough to make it worth buying them. Anyway, I couldn't get 3, so I stopped watching because I don't want to watch them out of order. I want to watch them in order. So I may revisit the Hellraiser thing at some point, but yeah. You guys are laughing at me. The giant scissors. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. You're talking about the Smile movie. I see that Smile movie marketing material. After you told me that, Matt, I saw some of that stuff, and I was kind of creeped out by that Smile stuff. Like, ooh, it was kind of creepy. So. Can't blame them. It was a trailer on TV. That's all kids talked about at school, egging each other to watch it. Yeah, I know. Peer pressure back then was rough too, man. Because literally, like our bubbles were like word of mouth, magazines, things like that. So, if you were in the know, you were really in the know. There wasn't like an internet, like, you didn't know something, you could go to the bathroom, Google it up. You kind of like, you can catch up. No. If you didn't know, if you didn't go, they know, they know. So yeah, I'm with you, Chris. Well, it was rough. Yeah. So. Crapped all over Hereditary, broke my heart. Okay. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. Nope. Not doing that. Yeah, that was a lot. We don't need to see that. Yeah, I'm not going to watch them again. So, but yeah, the movies messed me up. So, but yeah, you can check out my reviews. I've kind of talked about it. I will say this. I was really disappointed with Hellraiser 2. Like, I just did not hold up at all for me. I just really did not like it. And Hellraiser 1, I was shocked at how much, I'll be honest, it's the same formula. It's kind of like how I felt when I just watched American Werewolf. It's like all this character building, a few T's, a little here, a little there. Now, it's more bloody and gory, but when you get to the Pinhead scenes, the Cenobites, you care about these characters. You've spent time with them. You're cheering for Kirsty to survive and things like that. So, anyway, yeah, getting your flesh ripped off from messed up. I would stop after the 4th one. Well, if I'm going to watch Hellraisers, I'll probably just keep watching them so I could have them kind of out of my mental bucket list, I think. We'd be doing a Nightbreed talk hard or just view. Nightbreed? Is Nightbreed on our list of things to do? Did we talk about doing that? I don't have that on my list, Chris. I'm writing that down. Did we agree to do Nightbreed? Is that your way of just telling me that we should? Because we're well into November now. I was actually working on a thumbnail for a Thanksgiving film. So, well, we have 2 in November that are kind of like not our typical talk hard, but okay, I have to look into that, Chris. I'm not sure. So, Funny Games, really good because it's messed up. I don't remember Funny Games. Let me see. Is it something I've never seen? Oh, it's a 2007 movie. So yeah, it definitely seems like it may not be something I've seen. No, I've not seen this. Tim Roth, Naomi Watts, Michael Pitt. Got a good cast. Psychological thriller. Huh. It's a remake of the 97 version. Okay, so there's 2 versions, a 97 and a 2007 version. So I don't know. I'll have to look into it, I guess. I don't know that you guys are making me a little anxious there. So the Smile stuff, yeah. It was kind of funny because it's so weird and creepy and odd. It's just off. So you are not going to turn me into a Klaus appreciation, but it is kind of cool, man. I love that kind of stuff, man. Yeah, I got into the comics. I read some of Barker's novels, stuff like that. I was down that rabbit hole when the movie stuff happened, and then kind of, it's all in my past now. So, oh man, Dan Lawless is here. Here's a comic book pro for us, hanging out with us. Thank you so much, Dan. We were talking about some comic book stuff. Really, now we're just bouncing around chat. We're mostly in like movie talk now, but feel free to jump in. So, Yeah, no, not yeah. So you meant the 1997 one. So Funny Games, 1997, and yeah, I don't think I've seen this. Okay. Not sure I can handle more scary stuff. I'm gonna run out of time, so he threw Scarlet Gospel away. Clive Barker's got issues, right, guys? He's kind of messed up. So yeah, look at that. Dan working on the Nightbreed. Yeah, old school stuff, man. Old school stuff. Oh, Zombie is like a shot-for-shot remake? Those are weird. Like, I don't know. I don't know why we do that. I really don't. Blood and Demons, no thanks. Yeah. So, yeah, it's like I said, the spiritual stuff, Exorcist and Omen, and all that kind of stuff. I just don't really have any desire really to do a lot of consuming of that kind of stuff. I've dabbled with more stuff this Halloween because of the Pops channel than I usually do, like Hellraiser and Evil Dead and stuff like that. Like I said, it's not bothering me per se. But and Matt, you're right. I didn't really do like Halloween movies, not like you did. He went through and did like Monster Squad, which is it's a great watch. Yeah, we did Addams Family. We watched the old ones, right? Raul Julia and Angelica Houston, Addams Family and Addams Family Values. We watched those. So I censored one of those stories. It got too weird. Wow. Cool. Let's see. They're both good zombie except for the weird meta TV remote scene. Okay. Funny Games. I got it written down. Oh, sorry. I should say it's on my screen to write down. And for those of you who don't know, if I can't get it for free, I'm not going to watch it. So I'll be honest, I'm restless. I have so much going on. There's so many things to do. I didn't even talk about. I should have done it tonight. Oh man, Ironcaster's got me again because I'm distracted doing this. I should have done a quick little talk on Sharks of the Corn because it's terrible. I had to stop. It was so freaking bad. It's so insane. And it's not even a real movie exactly. It's more like just before we all had our phones at the level that we have, it's just like, you got a video camera, that kind of thing. That's what happened. So anyway, they have their daughter playing a character who curses, and that's why I checked out. So yeah, Chris Persia, that's the Dan Lawless. Yes, indeed. The Dan Lawless. Yes, he is in chat. Interviewed Dan a couple times. Got to have Dan back. Dan, I've been, the hurricane. I had family stuff that happened. So half of my September got all messed up, which messed up everything else. I have whole streams that had to get moved. So I don't know when I'm going to have time to have you and James and even Graham back on. Like Graham's freaking, by the way, let's show off Dan Lawless. I got the hardcover because this is a keeper book for me. So look at that. That's Dan Lawless El Caban cover right there. So I don't have that cover, Dan. But yeah, I've had it for a bit. I just haven't gotten through it. I thumbed through it, but I didn't read it yet. So you found Sharks of the Corn from you, Pops. It's a transcendental work of art, and your critical review are fighting words. Nah, it's just trolling. It is transcendental work, right? It is all right. It's something. So never pay for anything. Well, I don't mind paying for some things. Just not just not every time. Just no. Yeah. So it's interesting, Dan. I'm not a Munsters person, so it's one of those things where things don't always translate for me. I'm an Addams Family guy. And just the color and the cheat, because they told him he couldn't do it in black and white. He had to do it in color and some of those things. I kind of like just every time I think I'm going to watch it, I just kind of like, I'm really not in the mood. So, okay, awesome. What are you talking about here? I visited a temple in Cambodia and a friend got sick just coming near the place. I fell and almost bled in the temple. Praise God, I didn't bleed. What on earth? That's a crazy story. Supernatural stuff freaking you out, man. I don't know. That's weird. That is so strange. No, I don't know. My craziest real life experience or something like that is growing up. So middle school, high school, growing up, there was a cemetery like kind of like on the edge of the neighborhood. Like you had to drive past it to get into the neighborhood, but it wasn't like I lived next door to a cemetery, but it's in the neighborhood. And it was weird because once you notice it every time. There was never fog in the cemetery. The fog would be around the cemetery. So there would be fog, but then when you would look at the fence line and you would look in the cemetery, there was no fog in the cemetery. I don't know. Once I saw it, couldn't unsee it. Actually, I wrote about it in a script I helped co-write one time. And I was like, oh, well, I put that in there. So Sharknado is a spoof. Couldn't watch it. It was so dumb. Dale and Tucker is a funny horror movie. Should be on Tubi. Oh, I don't know. Sharknadoes are fun. There's the shark going down the street stuff and things like that. But see, Matt, there's money spent on Sharknado. There's actual CGI sharks and stuff like that. They literally have like a plastic head shark, and they try to do the story, but it's like literally like it's like us with like a video camera, and we get our friends and stuff reading lines and just shooting in some field somewhere. And I have no idea how this got on Tubi. Like I'm like, what on earth? Yeah. So yes, giant size manly. Yeah, I know. Awesome. Mega shark versus giant octopus. Right, rules. Yeah, Tubi has a plethora of that stuff. So, and Dale and Tucker versus evil. Okay. I know. Zombie. So when that little girl drops a curse word, I just stopped. I'm like, okay, because I was barely getting through as it was. I stopped. I don't know how many times. I don't know what I'm going to do. So, I wouldn't say trolling, just joking. I got you, bro. Good point. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying. I don't treat trolling as being mean. Trolling is a way of getting a reaction of someone, not necessarily being mean. So maybe if it's taken that way, I didn't mean it that way. That's how I use trolling. Trolling is about getting a reaction. It doesn't have to be mean and cruel. Just because it's being misused and abused by others, not by me. So the Munsters remake is on Netflix. Rob Zombie, and I think he cast his wife, right? Isn't his wife plays Lily? So it's on Netflix, old gamer. Cemetery Goats. Yeah, well, Cemetery Goats. Well, here I know. No fog. That's all I knew. Seen fog in cemetery other places, but dying to get in, I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's get one now. Reclaim for public cemetery? I don't know. I have nothing to go on why this occurred. I don't remember exactly how. I think I was somehow in middle school and it was pointed out. And then after that and all through high school and even as an adult, we'd go by there. And if it was foggy, I would always pause to look. And there was never fog in it when it was foggy. I don't know. It was just a weird occurrence. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. Maybe the way the landscaping was. Maybe there's there's a natural explanation. I have no idea. So I honestly have no words on how I would describe Rob Zombie's The Munsters. Okay, Zombie. Well, Dan said he enjoyed it. It's just kind of silly. So is Kittennado a thing? Or are you just making it funny because you do it all the time on me? So Pluto TV is great. Had it for years. Has great content. Yeah, they rotate through a lot of stuff, to be honest. So it is really, really good. I actually was in there today and I was going to watch something on demand, but the freaking channel I was on wouldn't stop playing. So I'm going to play with it tomorrow and see. You know what it was? I was going to watch something that I found it on one of the other apps I have. That's what it was. Trolling comes off as malicious, but it's all about perspective. You're cool. No offense taken. Yeah. I would never intend malice towards other folks. That's not my, even with people that I kind of intend malice, I'm not going to actually share that to the world. That's not my thing. Very rare that you see that side of me. Usually it's like geopolitics stuff, but well, guys, it's after 10. I thought about just going a little bit longer, but my wife has tried to message me. I am tired. I have to get up early. I have videos dropping tomorrow. So you'll see a couple of my pop perspectives. By the way, I'll share that. You get to see that trailer tomorrow. See a little intro. Busy day tomorrow. We've got Troy Pacelli on doing Argo at 5:30 Eastern time. And then at night, I believe it's 9:30. Jacob, I don't remember. Anyway, Eastern time, my time. I'll double check, but Be talking Jaws with Jacob Ironside. Talk Hard next week is The Crow, one of the goats. Oh my gosh, it's freaking amazing. Love The Crow. And then next Wednesday, a week from tonight, we'll be doing this again, 5:30 p.m. my time. We'll be celebrating all of you. We'll be having some fun. We'll be having some giveaways. I will try to do the wheel of gifts as we give some stuff away. That's right. 1,500 subscribers. I have some gifts. I got stuff behind me. I got stuff over here. I got comic books. I got packs of cards. We're going to give some stuff away. We're going to have some fun. So that'll be next Wednesday night, 5:30 p.m. Have some fun guests come up in here and stuff. So, oh, soft, fluffy kittens falling softly on everyone. Kitten NATO. So I would say it's a bad parody. Okay. All right then. Yes. So anyway, but no, listen, guys, thank you so much for coming. Thanks to all my members. My gosh. Chris Berger, tell the boss that, right? Thank you to all my members. Thanks to chat. Thanks to you guys so much. I know you guys are still going so much, but let me get a little bit of a nap in. I'll do more tomorrow. I got some comic book stuff I've been reading, so I'm going to try to figure out how to fit some of those videos in tomorrow in the middle of these 2 big streams I'm doing. And like I said, you guys just keep throwing out good stuff. I just keep adding on to my list. So, but we're working on like Talk Hard ideas well into November, through November into our Christmas season. Then we'll be trying to just keep cranking out stuff and have some fun doing streams with you guys, getting to know you. I'll do my first member stream in November, but I don't have a date yet. I got to talk to my 2 more premium members, or 3, 4. I don't even know exactly how many are the top tier or whatever. So yeah, 9:30 my time, 8:30 Central, Jaws on Jacob Ironside's channel. So yeah, we'll get that shared out to folks as well. And be doing that. So yeah, we'll do a members only stream sometime, and then trivia question. And it helped me out. But what issue is the start of Red Hulk? It is Hulk 1. Here, I'll put it in chat for you guys so you can see it. Hulk number 1, 2008 series. I don't remember volumes well, if it's volume 2 or 3, but there's a big red Hulk on it. Anyway, so that's where it starts. And that's the introduction of the Red Hulk. And it's a pretty good story. Really good. Jeff Loeb does a great job, by the way. So for those of you who definitely want to get something that's pretty good, it was actually a good jumping in point. And I've enjoyed it so far. I've got the graphic novel coming so I can catch the whole thing. So anyway, listen, guys, thank you so much for hanging out to me, man. I cannot believe this is the best. I love this so much that I get to just do this and do more of this each and every month. Like every month just keeps surprising me and shocking me. Like my September, I was out for 2 weeks basically with family stuff, and then the hurricane, and my numbers were very stable to where I was before. It's like I couldn't believe that you guys would want to listen to this crazy old doddering man talk about make believe and picture books. But you make this so much fun. This is just what I just love doing and love it so much. And you guys are the ones that make it possible. And thank you so much for that. So, but since we've talked about all these Halloween horror movies, let's do an outro of something that at least has a little bit of that feel to it. How's that? So let's do that. Take care.